Okay, so do you want to tell us just a little bit about, I guess, what you do, just to start us out?
I am a medical oncologist. My name is Sarah Conde. I work at Star Center for Cancer Cell. It's a cancer center in San Antonio, Texas.
So, how did you become interested in the medical field?
I think by pure chance. I don't have any family members who are doctors before me. I'm probably the first only doctor in my whole family. But I remember when I was 6, I was saving to buy a toy, and I chose a medical kit. That was the first clue I think I have that I was interested in doing something related to medicine. And then I have my best friend who decided that she wants to be a doctor. She never became a doctor, but I did went to medical school. So I think it's just I always like it since I was a child.
So was a big part of your decision that friend sort of influence?
We were always that was my childhood friend.
Okay.
And then when we grew up, she decided to be an engineer, and I decided to go to medical school. In my country, you go to medical school right after high school, and so you start the medical after a test, it's an admission test, and then the first 3 years basically a without process. I went to the university, the Catholic University in my city, which is a 2 million people city, and in Guayaquil, Ecuador. And we started probably 800 people, and we graduated 33.
Oh wow!
So it's a very difficult process. It's just like here, yes.
So you already kind of touched on this, but what are some of the differences of what you know of going through medical school in the U.S. versus the experience you had in Ecuador?
In Ecuador, by the time I went to medical school, there were a lot of movement about trying to educate people. There were, in Latin America, they want us to go to university. So it was a lot easy process, in my opinion. Everybody get access. There were a lot of free school. My school was private, but it's still very affordable. And compared with here, the schools are extraordinarily pricey, but they wanted to educate. They wanted to make sure that people get educated, because my country is a third world country, so they allow people to go to university. Obviously, once you get there, you I explained to you that it was very hard to keep going because there were a lot of obstacles you have to pass. So the difference. Overall, I think at the end of the day, I think over there is easier than here.
And then I also heard that you have to, because the education is free, right? Then you have to go
Pay
and
back, yes.
Yeah.
So even though my school was private, I still have to pay all universities. If you go to medical school, you have to pay back to the government 1 year of your life by going to very poor areas of the country, and that is called rural medicine. It's mandatory. They will withhold your degree. They won't give it to you until you do this year. So once you graduated, you go to the school. There is the graduation party. They will give you a diploma, but doesn't have absolutely no signatures, no stamps, nothing. It's just a piece of paper. So you know that after that, it's like a lottery. You go to I remember going to a coliseum with all of the students, all of medical students in my city, and another close university, and then you basically you go, and there was a lottery, and you pick up the place where you have to go. And it's a chance. I mean, some people ended up going to the Amazonas jungle, another ended up going to the Galapagos Island. And I visited Galapagos many times because one of my friends went to the Galapagos, and I helped with vaccination and all that. But I was very lucky because I ended up in a place which was probably 45 minutes driving or 50 minutes driving from the city. It was outside, very poor area, very, very poor, but still I was kind of close to my family, so it was good.
And is there any advice you would give to your, I guess, undergraduate self, just going into college?
Undergraduate that going to medical school, I would say that one of my biggest regret was if I can go back, I would say to myself, everything is gonna be fine. I was extremely anxious all the time. I made myself so anxious for so many processes. And I think that's the part of being a medical student. It was just the anxiety. And I remember there were a lot of people, well-meaning people and very well-intentioned and very good people that could have been an excellent doctors. But they make them so hard for them that they give up. And I, looking back, I say, probably some of those people would have been a great doctors. But I wanted to go back and say to myself, why are you so anxious? Everything's going to be just fine. And I think that would be an advice. Everything's going to be fine.
At what point did you choose to specialize in oncology, and is there a reason?
My chance again. Because I rotated to with a very famous hematologist in Miami. I was extremely impressed with Dr. Harrington. In fact, the cancer center at the University of Miami is under his name, William Harrington. And it was this doctor discovered a disease called ITP, which is an idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura. It's a disease when you basically make your own body to fight against your platelets. And these are women who develop this ITP, they bleed, nobody knew why, and this doctor had the idea that they were an antibody against these platelets. So he got this blood from these people, this woman, and inoculated himself. He developed ITP, he almost died. And I was rotating with this person. I was so impressed. He was older. And it was amazing because you would actually see the cells and you go and see the patient. So you see that in the microscope and you go in to see what's going on in vivo, in the human. And this is hematologists. But by the time I went to fellowship, there were no pure hematologists. And I went to my director, the medical director of a fellowship program after internship, after residency, and I told him I really want to be a hematologist, and he told me, you will eat your shoes because you won't survive. You have to be hematology and oncologist, because pure hematologists, people, you won't gain enough money to survive. So, and besides, there were very few programs in the United States as pure hematologists. Turned out that he was wrong, because now the hematologists are making a lot of money because there is not a lot of them now anymore. So that's why I choose hematology oncologist. So I went there, and then I married. I have my baby, my first child, and my husband said, I have a job and I have to leave. So I went to my my director, say, listen, I don't want to stay by myself with a 2 months baby. My husband has to go to another fellowship and he's going to be going far away, and I just want to be. So he told me, okay, don't be a hematologist, be an oncologist, from my 3 years fellowship. So that's why I ended up being an oncologist. But again, I like it very much. I like it because somebody asked me why I like it. Because by the time a patient came to see you, he already deprived himself of things that don't matter in life. They're fighting cancer, and you see the true people. You see the true who is there, and nothing superficial. Nothing. It's just the true people because they're facing death. So it's a sad specialty, but when my husband always tell me this, somebody has to do it. So very happy to do it.
So even though he was wrong in telling you that you couldn't be a hematologist, do you feel like it was the right path for you anyways?
I feel that it was the right path because at the end of the day, cancer is becoming a chronic illness and it's so prevalent now. We don't know why, but cancer rates are on the rise. Well, we know why. A lot of theories, especially nutrition and food industry, exposure to toxins and things like that. Genetic. Now we know more about that. Yes, and there is a shortage of oncology because in the next 10 years, the rate of cancer is going up. So it's very, very prevalent disease, and we need more people who can treat that.
Right.
And like you said, it seems to be very emotionally taxing.
It is.
How do you deal with that?
It is. I kind of detach myself of the outcome. I have learned to go home and kind of relax and try not to talk about my day, but it's inevitable. My kids know when one of my patients died. I remember my youngest child, one time I came and he'd say to me, she was only 6, she said, "One of your patients died, Mommy, right?" And how did she knew? Because she saw my face. It's very hard. It's very hard, but you try to do the best you can. You give the best medicine you can give. You are honest. You create a good patient relationship. When there's nothing else you can offer, you start. It's a very lengthy process to transition to something that called hospice, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort to get to that point, and it's very hard to do. But at the end of the day, they feel okay. You have to involve the family. It's a very lengthy process, but the best thing is to be honest, and that's the only thing you can for sure tell the patient with cancer. I do the best I can for what we have now, but all I can assure you is that I'm always going to be honest with you.
Okay. Okay, so how is your day-to-day job different than what you thought it would be going in?
It has changed a lot. I have worked in different institutions, and I have worked at the VA hospital, which I enjoy a lot. It was very easy at the time because I have set hours and I can go home to my kids, and that was a good choice at the time because my children were small. And then I worked for a semi-private institution, and finally I'm working in the private sector. So each one is completely different. I have worked as an outpatient. I have worked as an inpatient hospital, and then I work, as in private sector. You admit your own patients, and then you also see your clinic. From everything I have tried, and I have tried different. I think I enjoy a lot working with the VA. Those people were real. I mean, for some reason they were real. They were appreciative. And I have a lot of respect from veterans in general, and I enjoy. I work. It was very hard to let go of that job, and then now that I work in the private sector because I work in a non-profit organization before, but in the private sector I also enjoy that because I can be my own boss. I can put my hours, but at the same time I feel that I'm more. It is more challenging because I'm always available on the phone, and sometimes you wonder, I really want to have some set hours, but I don't have that. But it's a trade-off. Some things are better than other, and I think at the end of the day, I think I like to be a private doctor also. But I have seen all kind of medicine here in the United States, all kind of practice.
So how has your experience with like the VA? I guess could you talk a little bit about that? Because I know my dad is also a doctor, and he talks about like the inefficiencies of like the system. But you were talking about like more of, like the people side of it.
Yeah. I for some reason I didn't have any problems at the VA. I always felt that whatever I did they were very appreciative. I obviously there is a lot of bureaucracy, and once you fit in, you do the best you can. A lot of psychiatric issues that are, you don't have only one disease in a veteran. You have tons of organic diseases, medical problems and psychological problems all together. So you become like a doctor, priest, psychologist, friend. I mean, you have to act, like I do. The same here, but it is from everything I have done, I think I enjoyed the most the my VA experience.
Okay. We kind of talked about some of the harder parts of your job. Do you have a favorite part of what you do currently?
My favorite part is when I tell the patients you are in remission. That's my favorite day. I can't wait to tell the patients. I feel like I feel so happy when I go there and I show the scans and I say it's not there anymore. Your tumor is not there anymore. It's gone. It's shrinking, or you are in remission. The lymphoma. I treat lymphomas. I treat all kind of malignancies. I'm a general oncologist, so that is my favorite day, and because I know I'm gonna be almost jumping with patients, even though sometimes this tumor come back, but at least I give them hope, and there is nothing better than see the hope on somebody's face. Somebody's face. At the same time, I have seen the hope going away from somebody's as well, and it's a horrible feeling. And sometimes I have to live with that when I have to tell somebody, I'm sorry, but this is, I don't have any more tools to take. I don't have any more medicine to give you. I don't have anything else to offer you. And it's a very sad day.
So your first language is Spanish, correct? So how does that help you in your experience? Because you work in San Antonio, right? So there's obviously a large Hispanic population there.
A lot of patients look for me because they want to feel more comfortable. A lot of people come from Mexico, they're first generation. The second generation, they know English, but their parents, they are from Mexico, they haven't learned English yet. So it's easy for me to get rapport and relationship with them, speaking their own language. So sometimes patients look for that, and they feel comfortable. They also, still this population, if they have breast cancer, for example, they wanted to have a female doctor who also speaks Spanish.
Right.
So it's kind of it's kind of good.
Yeah, definitely sounds like a benefit for everybody
Benefit,
involved.
yes.